wish I had a double burger. Okay. Four by 8 sheet of pre-finished birch is what we're looking at. What am I gonna do with it? I think I'm gonna try to build a podium. Simple project. My neighbor approached me back in October-ish, maybe sooner, September, October, asking to build a podium for our local Catholic church. And I told her it'd probably be November before I got to it, and because I was working on my cabinets, and here we are, February 1st, and I still haven't done it yet, so shouldn't take too long. I'm not gonna get too crazy with it, but they just need a simple podium to use in one of their classrooms, so let's see if we can make this work. Alright, so I'll start out by marking out the pieces that I've determined I needed, the sizes I needed, just to try to get the most out of this one sheet of plywood. I think we're gonna try to embrace the plywood on this one. Usually you try to hide it, put some trim to cover up the ply, but we're gonna let it ride. So this project, I don't do a lot of projects for other people. Usually if I do a project for somebody else, it's because I think they could use a hand and I'm able to lend one. So I do when I can fit them in. Here I'm going to use the rockler sled to set the tapered edge of the podium. I just looked up some standard podiums and what the taper should be and kind of ran with it. So now I need to cut the back, which would be the front, I guess, if you're facing it, of the podium, just that front edge of the plywood at the same 20-degree taper. I need to swap out my insert because my zero clearance wouldn't allow me to cut an angle, and I had this one kind of prepped and ready to go for just such an occasion. So I'll use it real quick and then go back to my regular insert. Lou was a little upset there because I just scolded her about walking behind me when I'm working with the table saw. Don't want that for little ones. For this project I'm going to be using Gorilla Glue's all-purpose glue. Well, because it bonds virtually everything. Says so right there on the bottle. Because this sheet is pre-finished, regular wood glue wouldn't penetrate the way that you would need it to get a good bond. So this should hold pretty well. I'm gonna tack it together with some 23 gauge finish nails, and that will hold it until I get some clamps on it. I mentioned earlier that this was for my neighbor and her church, and this is going to be a donation to them. I'm not going to charge anything for my time or for the material. It's not that expensive for a sheet of plywood, and I have the ability to be able to do things that some people can't. I know this isn't some crazy piece, but look at that, it looks like the car's sitting on top of it right there. That's kind of funny. Anyhow, you should use the gifts you have received to serve others. And I'm paraphrasing a piece of scripture there, and I don't really know where it came from, but yeah. And
I share that not to toot my own horn, but to hopefully encourage others to do the same with the gifts that they have received. Here I'm gluing a couple of pieces together. I want the top of the podium to look a little more substantial. I want it to be thicker, so that's going to be the top. Just glue that and put some weights on it. Get out the router and start cleaning up some edges. Just going to round them over a little bit to soften them up. Yeah, so I remember as a kid, I was in the grocery store parking lot with my dad, leaving the grocery store, and there's a van with a family in front of us trying to start the van with the man, the dad of the family, trying to get under the van to help start it, whatever he was trying to do. And my dad is a mechanic. He's a great mechanic. And he starts the car, doesn't want to get involved, and I could see it just going through his mind, and he's lets out this sigh like, and looks over at me and says, "Should I help?" And I'm a kid, so I'm like, "Yeah, go help him, Dad." And so he did. He went over, and the guy was just trying to be able to reach the starter to give it a tap. The starter was going out on the van, and he knew what he was doing, but just couldn't reach it. And so my dad was able to get to it and get their van started for them. And it always stuck with me. But you have the ability, right? You have the ability to help. Why not? Alright, so here's thinking about doing some pocket screws on to fasten the top, but nope, drill wouldn't fit. So I'm not going to do the pocket screws. I searched through some of the hardware that I had laying around, and I have these little L brackets, so I'm going to use those to hold it in place. I don't want to put any nails straight down through the top. Well, there's Craig. That's my buddy. That's a picture of him that I made him look like Cornelius. What is it? From Yukon Cornelius. Yukon Cornelius from the old Rudolph movie. Anyhow, I used AI to make him look like that. But he likes to come over and hang out in the shop sometimes. Pretty sure he's been wearing that vest since high school. But anyhow, fastening the bottom on here. Just threw some screws in it. Now I'm gonna put the top together. Thanks, Craig. Alright, so a little more cleanup with the router. I'm just gonna do this one edge so that I could take it to the table saw and cut that piece off. So that's gonna be my little, what is that? Stopper ledge thing. Okay, so now I know I said I was going to keep this simple, and I am. This isn't tough, but I want to get creative with it a little bit. And like I said also earlier, I want to embrace the plywood on this one. So I'm cutting some strips to work on a decorative front for this podium. So here I'm starting to use this as a trim. I'm going to create a border along the whole front of this, the whole face. So I'm using the strips that I cut. They're about, I don't know, maybe 3/16 thick, and I'm facing the ply of the plywood outward so you see all of it. And I'm going to layer it, do 3 rows there, so it's a nice thick piece of ply that you see there. I wonder if you guys could hear my neighbor's saw in the background. It's about 9 o'clock at night on a Friday. This is what it's like living next door to me, I bet. It's a new neighbor. Anyway, it still needed something a little more, so I'm gonna put, let me pull something right in the middle there. I want it to look cool, so I cut 45s, and I'm gonna have all these pieces meet up right in the center. But if you haven't figured it out by now, it's gonna be a cross. So we're just about wrapped up with this thing, and I just want to now apply a finish to the end grain to that plywood. Is it end grain? It's not end grain, it's plywood. Anyway, it's just a simple butcher block oil. I like how this oil works. I like how it's easy to apply, and it's gonna seal it up just fine. There's not a lot of wear and tear here, so yeah, it's been a fun project. A day out in the shop, an evening after work, the following day to seal it. That was my wardrobe change. And my neighbor and her church are gonna have a new podium. But there's the back, got a nice little shelf, and that's the front. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.